When should you start studying for the bar exam? This is a question I get so often, so I'm here to answer it today. And of course, as always, my answers and the things that I tell you and advise you are all based on my own experiences. And as someone who's taken the bar exam on 5 separate occasions, okay, I feel like my opinion, my experiences, they carry some weight, okay? So I'm just going to give you my take on it based on my experiences, and remembering as like my underlying rule is that bar prep is not one size fits all. I can't stress it enough. Everyone is different. So when it comes to when should you start studying for the bar exam, when is it too early? Am I leaving it too late? Or am I starting too early? I just said that. The thing is, everyone is different, first of all. It depends on you highly. And so I'll tell you about my experiences on my different occasions. Sometimes I was starting up to 5 months before, other times maybe 3 months before. And each time was different, definitely. Obviously, the way I was studying was different. The things I was doing, they were all different as well. But what I would say is it's never too early. And this may be something you might not hear often, because often when it comes to people who want to start early, what I hear is, don't do that, you're going to get burnout. Don't do that, don't do it. That's what I hear the most. Don't start early, don't do it. However, okay, hear me out. From my personal experiences, and I apologize if I'm like yelling. I don't have my mic in front of me, so I'm using the other mic. So I hope you can hear me. But from my experience, starting early doesn't necessarily mean you're going to pass. Okay, I'm gonna put that out there. Even if you started 5 months early. So my very first time I did an early bar prep program. So I had access to the material earlier than the actual live classes had begun. So I think it was from March I had access to the material, probably late March. So I didn't start straight away, actually. I think I probably started I got myself familiar with the books, the content, like what I would be doing. And I just kind of, just mapped it out in my head for a while before I actually got started. But when I did finally start, I hadn't finished the course before the live version started. And then when the live version started, I still wanted to carry on with the on-demand version. And so I was a bit all over the place. So that's just one thing. That was just me. But again, I didn't pass that time because of different factors, different reasons. But just keeping it on the topic of when is too early, I don't feel like that was too early. If I had managed my time well, if I didn't have to watch so many lectures, if it was just formatted a little bit differently, I feel like it could have been the perfect kind of time span. Another time span I did was about 3 months, which is also very doable. Bearing in mind, most bar prep companies don't start their bar prep. So if it's a July exam, most of them start like halfway through May. If it's a July exam, I just said that. If it's a February exam, most of them start around December, like just before Christmas, based on my experiences and what I remember. So that's not that long. That's like less than 3 months in both occasions. May, June, July. Yeah, that's less than 3 months. That's like 2.5 months is what most people do. However, as I said, everybody is different. And one thing I would say is I would rather, and this is based on my personal experience and based on the time that I studied myself and passed, I would rather have an experience studying for the bar with ease and grace than instead of it being like struggle and strife and, just always trying to feel like you're catching up, because it happens. Even when you start 5 months early or with a time span of 5 months, you can still find yourself getting towards the end and feeling like you need to catch up, or you're behind, or you wish you did more. And that's something I often felt. I thought, oh my gosh, like how am I 2 months away and I don't know everything. Obviously, you're never going to know everything. Let's just put that out there, okay? And let's just be real. You're not going to know everything, and you shouldn't be trying to know everything, because that's not going to be a productive way to study for the exam. Instead, as I always say, you need to focus on the highly tested areas and make sure that you're really strong in those. And I will cover this in another video, the part 2 of planning your bar prep schedule. I know that's a long overdue video, but when it comes to the timing, instead, if you go by the activity that you want to do, the things that you want to complete, the things that you want to achieve in that time, if you know you want to watch lectures and you're going to watch lectures, but maybe you're working or you just need more time to get your head around things, especially if you're foreign trained, or you've taken a gap from study for a while, it's not going to hurt you to start looking at stuff early, just slipping in a video or two here or there as part of your daily routine, because that's not going to cause burnout. And you may think that you'll completely forget, but when you go back to reviewing that material, and review is something that I heavily encourage or advocate for, especially towards the end of bar prep. So things that you've looked at, you will always come back and review anyway. You're never going to look at something just once, or you shouldn't be looking at something just once and then forgetting about it. Reviewing it is going to help you commit that stuff to your memory, and it's going to help you be able to spew the stuff out because you've looked at it more than once. You've reviewed it, you've memorized it, you've spent time on it, you've done the questions, you've looked at practice questions, samples, etc., etc. So what I would say is, if you want to start early, what I would say is make sure you've got like a plan of what you're doing. Don't just aimlessly start and then it technically doesn't count because you're like, well, what was I looking at? Oh, I flipped through some Civ Pro the other day back in March. No, you have to have a plan. And so my last time, the time that I passed, I started early. Okay, I started very early. I started planning my schedule of how my days were going to look. I listed everything I wanted to cover, all the essays I wanted to go through, and I did all the essays. I think I covered literally every essay that was released from the NCBE. I also did all the questions on for the MBE as well. Same for the NPTs. I covered those as part of my study schedule. But if you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that my study was not I enjoyed my study period. It was very balanced. It was very low stress. It allowed me to still have a social life. Not often, but once a month I did allow myself to go somewhere, and it was normally for a birthday. It allowed me to have time off in the evenings to watch Netflix. I was watching Netflix during bar prep. It was like stuff like How to Get Away with Murder, because that kind of made me feel better, because it felt, and Suits, I watched Suits again, because it made me feel like, oh, well, I'm still kind of, consolidating the law in my head, but it never really happened. You may get a few scenes where you're like, that's the 21-day rule. But it's not very often at all. But I digress. So what I would say is it's never too early. If you are someone who needs more time to plan out what you need to do, and this is outside of actually learning and memorizing and practicing the law, you can spend extra time. Like now, we're in August at the time of this video, and obviously the next bar exam is in February. What would be wise is to start thinking about what review program you're going to be using, how much time you're going to be spending. Are you working full-time? Are you working part-time? Do you need to carve out a schedule? You don't want to wait until the day that you're starting bar prep to then start figuring out your schedule. You don't want to do that, because that's not bar prep. You want to use bar prep time for bar prep time. So the best thing to do is to like pre-game, so to speak, pre-game your bar prep, how it's going to, the journey, what it's going to look like, factor in things, plan ahead. Where will you be for Christmas? Are you going to take that time off? Where will you be for, what's that holiday you guys have? Thanksgiving, and all those other things. I think there's another one, Labor Day is coming up, I guess in September. What are your plans around that? Do you plan to completely tune out? Or do you want to find a way to have a schedule that allows you to do everything you need to do, but still get efficient, effective, productive, really just amazing bar prep in that time? So I would say, to answer the question, it's never too early to start. If you need help with planning out a schedule, like literally a very detailed one for the months that you want to start, even if you want to start in September, if you want to start in October, if you're going to start in November, December, wherever, you can. Well, right now my systems are I'm resetting from the last bar exam. I know this video is kind of everywhere, but from the last bar exam, I've learned a lot from you guys who booked comfort calls and who actually studied with me, and we had sessions together. It was such a great experience with you guys, and I'm sure you know who I'm talking to if you're watching this video still. But I'm just resetting everything. I have some really exciting things coming up that I'll be announcing soon. So if you want help with preparing a schedule for the next bar exam in February, and you'd like me to actually go through and help you pan that out and plan that out, then you can just send me a DM on Instagram, or you can leave a comment in the comments below. But my Instagram details will be in the chat. But you can just send me a DM saying schedule or schedule. I think Americans say schedule. I think we say schedule. You can send me a voice note, however you say it, if you want, or you can email me. My email will also be in the description box below, so we can talk about how to get you started on a plan if you want to start now. Because I did not regret starting early. I I was really happy that I started early because, again, it was really just so easy. I'm not going to say easy. It wasn't easy, but it was easier because I was really intentional. Everything I did, every activity I did, every item on my list or on my program that I had built out was intentional. It made sense. The dots were connecting, so it just all came together really nicely at the end. And when the fire alarm went off in the bar exam and I missed that whole portion, I was still able to pass because the rest of my knowledge of the game plan I had was so solid. So I'd love to help you guys build your own, whether you want to start next month, in 2 months, in 3 months. And lastly, I'll just address burnout again. Burnout is a real thing. It's definitely a real thing. And one of the other sittings where I think it was a July exam and I started in January. Yeah. I tried to really, and by, I would say March, I was just like, ugh. I don't really know if it was burnout. It was, okay, burnout was more like the ick almost. I was just like, ugh. I wanted nothing to do with it. I was just so tired of it, so bored of it. But it was definitely the way I was approaching it. I'm not saying from freaking the beginning of the year or from August, start like doing vigorous plan. You can literally just start doing MBEs every day. I'm just doing one MBE. I'm just gonna do one MBE, just one MBE. And obviously, as long as it's intentional and you're building towards ticking off boxes of activities that you want to have done before the bar exam, then it's definitely helpful. I would say don't just aimlessly start doing things without really taking note of what you're doing and knowing why you're doing it. Okay, so I don't regret starting early. I'm really glad that I did. It allowed me to study with ease and grace. And what's nice as well is that you can take a break. It's like you can take like a, what do you guys call it? A midterm break? We call it like a half term or like a reading week where you just take the week off to just breathe. And then you come back to it. So that was what was also nice about starting earlier, is I could take like, I think I had like 4 or 5 day streak where I was just doing flashcards, or I was doing very minimal work, but then I was able to jump right back in and keep that momentum going. So it felt much more, I just wasn't under that constant stress that I used to be in all the time. Again, ease and grace is such a nice thing to be able to have in any situation, but with something as big as the bar exam, the one thing that is going to help you, or that is going to qualify you as a lawyer or an attorney, to be able to do that in a way that it's not going to take up all your time, take up all your hours. And I'm not saying it's gonna be hours, because technically you could be doing the same amount of work you would do, but just spread out and allowing yourself to breathe. So nothing ever wrong with starting early. Don't let anybody deter you if that's what you want to do. If you feel like you don't need that time and you would rather focus and do it in a shorter space of time, then more power to you. I've done that too. Obviously, everybody is different. And another thing I would say is, if you have just taken a bar exam, if you've taken the bar exam in July, what month are we in? Yeah, if you've taken the bar exam in July and you are here now and you haven't got your results yet, don't start studying. Do not start studying until after you've got your results, and then until you know that you're actually going to be sitting for the next exam. So I would not start, only because it just puts you in a state of, I'm going to fail, so let me start learning, or let me, I would rather you keep that positive mindset that I'm always going on about until you get your results. Then you can take a breath and then start planning for the next chapter. Maybe you want to sit the next one out. I sat a couple out. Yeah, definitely sat a couple out. So you don't want to put yourself through that. It's unnecessary. There are so many other things you can focus on. Even your application. You can start submitting your applications even before you've passed the exam, depending on your state, your jurisdiction, and the departments. But you can start submitting things. Do things that are still going to help and add value to your life. Whereas just sitting and starting to revise for something or study for something that you may have passed, you don't want to waste valuable time. Use your time wisely, okay? So that's all I've got for today's video. I will be actually making more videos consistently. It's been a while. Teaching the law. So I'm going to go through a few more other things, and then I'm going to get straight back into teaching the law in short bites, just to help you guys who want to start early, who just want to hear my take on different areas of the law that you can start familiarizing yourself with. So this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for being here. Again, if you want help with your bar prep schedule, just email me with the word subject line schedule, or send me a DM on Instagram, and I will get back to you on how I can help. Until the next video, I will see you next time. Lord Torio.